The doctor said I was all right. There was nothing the matter with me, they said. How could I do something like that if there was nothing the matter with me? How much does oil color cost? He told me. I do not have enough money. I would need at least 3, no, at least 5 colors, and I do not have enough money. How much will brushes cost? I will need 1 or 2 brushes, he told me. What else will I need? I will need something to clean the brushes. I will need canvas board. How much will it cost to buy something like to clean the brushes? Turpentine, yes. And to buy a canvas board? He told me. I will never have enough money to paint in oil colors. How can anyone paint in oil colors if it costs so much money? I do not feel well. I think I will go home now and lie down. Did I tell you I drew a face of the Reb in my chamash today? I told you. Goodbye, goodbye. It was a warm evening. There was a pale film of light in the sky. Soon it will be summer, and then Rosh Hashanah, and Yom Kippur, and then October, and then Vienna. So I'll go to Vienna. I can draw in Vienna too. I'll draw the cafes and the strange streets. I'll learn the language. What is so terrible about going to Vienna? I felt myself trembling. I love this street. Yes, I don't want to go into exile, but I'll draw another street. Streets are all the same. Or they're not. They're not the same. I don't know enough about this street to really draw it yet. How can I draw a strange street in a foreign land full of people who hate me? Why should I even want to draw such a street? I walked beneath the trees, looking at the people of the street. The parkway was busy with traffic. People were coming out of the subway tunnels. There were green buds on the trees. The benches were empty. Cats scratched through. Garbage cans. Car horns blared. It seemed to be getting dark. I thought it had to become dark very quickly. There were stars. I took the elevator up to our apartment. My mother was at the door. Her face was pale and frightened. Asher, do you know what time it is? I didn't know. It's after 7 o'clock. Her voice was very high. There was a strange look in her eyes. Where have you been? Walking. Walking until 7 o'clock. Asher, what am I going to do to you? I was ready to call the police. I'm very tired, Mama. I think I'll go to sleep. Don't you want supper? Are you all right, Asher? Are you sick? I'll never have enough for the oil colors. How does anyone buy all he needs? She stared at me. I didn't know, Mama. Is it wrong if you do something when you don't even know you did it? How could that be wrong? She stared at me, open-mouthed. I could feel her looking at me as I went through the hallway to my room. It was a nice street, I was thinking. Why do you want to take it from me? I put on pajamas and got into bed. My mother came into the room. She was telling me I could not go to sleep without supper. She sounded frightened. I wondered why she was frightened. She hadn't drawn the Reb's face in a chamash. Why was she frightened? She kept pleading with me to get out of bed and eat supper. I was barely listening. After a while, she looked ready to cry. She turned and stared out from the room. She was almost at the doorway when the phone rang. I heard her hurrying through the hall to the phone. She was talking into the phone. How can I buy money to buy the oil colors? How can I get money to buy the oil colors and the canvas board and the brushes and the turpentine? Maybe I can sell a picture to my uncle Yizkov. My mother came back into the room and stood by my bed. The Masvia called. I turned my face to the wall. The Masvia asked you to see him in his office tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. There was a crack in the wall I had not seen before. I liked the way it sent out spider fingers along the surface of the paint. What did you do in school today? My mother asked. I closed my eyes. Then I opened my eyes very slightly and I peered out through the lashes. There were spidery fingers there too, moving in and out across my eyes. I liked seeing them that way, moving back and forth and in and out, like a concealing fog across my eyes. I was slanting my eyes Do the Reb's eyes see spidery fingers in my pictures? I welcomed the fog and fell asleep. Almost immediately, as if he had been waiting for the moment of sleep, the way ancient guardian armies waited for the blast of warming trumpets, my mythic ancestor thundered through the end-shrouding fog, his dark beard face trembling through the enshrouding fog, his beard-like face trembling with rage. There was the roar of moving earth and the rolling sound of his anger. I could not hear what he was saying, but I felt his words push against me. I woke and went to the bathroom. I thought I heard my parents talking in their room. I went back to bed and fell asleep. I woke again in the night, feeling very hungry. How can I get money for the oil colors? I must try the oil colors. I fell back asleep and woke in the morning to the sound of rain on the window. My father was preparing the orange juice. My mother was at the stove. They looked at me when I came into the kitchen and stopped what they were doing. Good morning, Asher, my mother said very quietly. The Masfia called me in my office late yesterday, my father said, without preliminaries. Did you know what you were doing? No, Papa. You did it and didn't know you were doing it? Yes. How can I believe you? Aria, my mother said softly. He turned to her. I don't know how to react, Rivka. A responsible 10-year-old boy doesn't do such things. He turned back to me. You will be respectful to the Masfia, you hear? Yes, Papa. You will listen carefully to what he has to say, and you will apologize. Yes, Papa. I have a million things on my mind now, and I have to worry about my son drawing the face of the Reb in the Chumash. How could you have done such a thing? Aria, my mother said. To desecrate a Chumash and to make fun of the Reb. I was not making fun of the Reb, I said. What were you doing? I don't know, but I was not making fun of the Reb. I don't draw pictures to make fun. I wish you would stop drawing. You were done with that foolishness. Aria, my mother said. Aria, my father said. Who are you arieing me for, Rivka? How does it look when my son goes around drawing all day instead of learning? How does it look? Stop calling it foolishness, I said. They turned slowly to look at me. Please don't call it foolishness anymore, Papa, I said. They stared at me and were very quiet. My father's face was going rigid. I saw him swallow. My mother was pale. Foolishness is something that's stupid, I said. Foolishness is something a person shouldn't do. Foolishness is something that brings harm to the world. Foolishness is a waste of time. Please don't ever call it foolishness anymore, Papa. There was a long silence. I heard the rain on the window of the kitchen. The refrigerator suddenly turned itself off, deepening the silence. I felt frightened. I had never talked to my father that way before. Asher, my mother said, you are being disrespectful to your father. Kibudov, Asher. Remember, Kibudov. I'm sorry, I said, and I lowered my eyes. My father stroked his beard and took a deep breath. Sit down, Asher, and drink your orange juice, he said in a voice tremulous with anger. There are probably no vitamins left in it now. The Masfia's office was at the end of the first floor corridor of the school building, 2 doors beyond my classroom. I knocked on the door and I heard him say in Yiddish, come in. I went inside. I closed the door quietly behind me. It was a narrow office, entirely bare, except for a small book case filled with books and a small dark wood desk that had on it a notebook and a pencil. Rav Yosef Cutler, the Masfia, sat behind the desk in an ordinary wood chair. He wore a long, dark jacket, dark trousers, a white shirt with a crumpled collar, a tall, dark skull cap, and a dark tie. His hands were white. He smiled at me across the closet room. Come in, Asher El. Take off your coat. Yes, put it there. Good. Now sit down. Sit down. Put your books on the desk. Tell me, how is your mother? About your father, I have no need to ask. I need your father all the time. But how is your mother? Yes. And how are you, Asher El? You look pale. Your eyes are as red as your hair. Are you feeling well? He spoke in Yiddish, and I responded in Yiddish. With the Masfia, one only talked in Yiddish. I told him I was feeling well. I was a little tired, I said. My mother has taken me to see 3 different doctors, I said. I was fine, I said. I was fine. A narrow window took up most of the wall behind the Masfia. I looked out the window at the maples on the street. It was raining outside on the maples. I saw the branches dripping in the rain. How would I paint that? The rain dripping from the branches, the rain streaking down the window, the gray rain filling the world with a dismal mist. People walked beneath umbrellas. The asphalt glistened. The bleak sky hovered menacingly over the tops of the buildings. The Masfia was saying something to me, but I was not listening because I saw the clouds moving swiftly and darkly across the buildings, and I wondered how I would catch the dark movement, that watery swirl of light and dark grays. I watched the Masfia put his hands on his desk, saw him still talking to me, and thought the street was crying, and wondered how I could paint the street crying. I thought I had something like that to myself before. Said something to myself like that before, but I could not remember where I was or where I might have been. The street is crying, I thought, and I'm sitting here. It's my street, and I can't draw it. I want to paint it. I have to paint it while it's crying. Why am I sitting here? They're going to take my street away from me, I thought. Do streets in Vienna cry? Not for Jews, they don't. Ribbon Shalom, what are you doing to me? Asherel, the Masfia was saying in a strange loud voice. Asherel! I came slowly back inside myself from the dripping trees and the dismal street and looked at him with a sense of surprise and shock. He was leaning almost halfway across the desk, his eyes wide with alarm. Asherel, he said, are you feeling all right? I nodded. Yes, I heard myself say. I did not recognize my own voice. Yes, yes. I thought, Asherel, I will call your father and he will take you home. No, I said, do not call my father. I said it very loudly. He gave a startled look. Then slowly he sat back in his chair. There was a long silence. He sat very still, regarding me intently. I watched the rain made rivulets on the window, the patterned flow of colorless liquid upon colorless glass. It will all die when the rain ends, I thought. But what difference does it make? Oh, it makes a difference, I thought. And if it doesn't make a difference, you will make it make a difference. Yes? No, perhaps it really doesn't make a difference after all. Asherel, listen to me. The Masfia was saying, I am talking to you and you are dreaming. I am sorry, I heard myself say. If you are not ill, be so good as to listen to me. I took my eyes from the window. How shall we start, Asherel? Are you listening to me? Yes. Good. You feel all right now? Yes? Yes. Very good, Asherel. How shall we start? I do not want to, God forbid, hurt you or make you feel bad. I talk to you out of love for you and your dear parents. He paused. I knew your grandfather in Russia. I was with him and the Reb's father the night he was killed. The Jewish people are one body and one soul, he believed. If one part of the body hurts, the entire body hurts. And the entire body must come to the help of the part that hurts. Are you listening to me, Asher? I thought. Who is coming to my help? Yes, I said. I am listening. Good, he said gently, and stroked his long beard. Asherel, your father also sees the Jewish people as one body and one soul. When a head hurts in the Ukraine, your father suffers in Brooklyn. When the Jews cannot study Torah in Kiev, your father cannot sit still in Brooklyn. Do you understand me, Asherel? I nodded. I was looking at the window again. It seemed dark outside. Why was it dark outside in the morning? The rain had stopped. The rivulets were gone from the window, but raindrops were still on the panes, looking frozen against the strange darkness outside. Now, how do you think your father feels, Asherel, when his son does not want to study Torah, spend days and nights drawing, and even draws the face of the Reb in the Chumash? How should a father feel in such a matter, Asherel? I did not know what to say, and so I said nothing. I had the impression I was not expected to respond. But how should I feel? I thought, will he ask me how I feel? And why is it so dark outside? Asherel, my child, understand what I am saying to you. We all know you have a gift. We all know what a gift, that we all know that such a gift cannot always be controlled. When my father, may he rest in peace, was young, he had a gift for carving. When I was young, I had a gift for writing stories. When the Reb was young, he had a gift for mathematics. Many people feel they are in possession of a great gift when they are young, but one does not always give in to a gift. One does with a life what is precious, not only to oneself, but to one's own people. That is the way our people live, Asherel. Do you understand to me? I understand. It looks like night outside, black night in the morning. Asherel, you have a gift. This gift causes you to not only think of yourself and your own feelings. No one would care if these were normal times, Asherel. We do not interpret the second commandment the way others do. But these are not normal times. When have times ever been normal for Jews? I thought. What is he telling me? To stifle my gift? Does he also believe the gift is from the other side? Then it should be stifled even in normal times. What does it have to do with the Jewish people? And if it's not from the other side, if it's from the Ribbono Shel Olam, why is it less important than what Papa is doing? Do you understand me, Asherel? I did not understand, but I did not say anything. Asherel, look, it is raining again, I said. I could see the fat drops hurtle through the darkness and explode against the window. How could I ever draw or paint that, I thought. Rain like that from darkness, like that, exploding as though in midair upon invisible glass. But someone has done it. I've seen pictures of it, of a sky like that, a rain against glass. How did they do it? Asherel the Masfia was saying gently, patiently. I took my eyes from the window. Were you listening to me? He asked. Yes. He stroked his dark beard and his white hands and narrowed his eyes. Asherel, he said softly, is it true you did not know you were drawing the face of the Reb on the Chumash? Yes. How is such a thing possible? I do not know. I believe you, Asherel. He sat back in his chair and folded his arms and put a hand across his mouth. I saw him watching me intently, his eyes wide and gentle. He has a little of Yudo Krinsky's eyes, I thought. I could make him a little wider and remove some of the lines, and they would be like the eyes of Yudo Krinsky. The shapes are the same. Look at the rain on the window. The Masfia was saying something, but I did not want him to listen. I did not want to listen to him anymore. It's raining in sharp diagonals to the verticals and horizontals of the window. Look at those slashing diagonals. The Masfia was saying something about Vienna, and I would not listen. The darkness was gone from the street, and I could see the trees beneath the lashing rain. The rain moved in waterfalls across the asphalt. The curbs were flooded with rushing streams of dark water. Oh, if I could paint this, I thought. Ribbono Shel Olam, if I could paint this world, this clean world of rain and patterns on glass and trees on my street and people beneath the trees. I would even paint and draw pain and suffering if I could paint and draw the other two. I would paint the rain as tears, and I would paint the rain as waters of purification. What do they want from me? Ribbono Shel Olam, it's your gift. Why don't you show them it's your gift? Vienna in October, I heard the Masfia say. I looked at him blankly. He sighed. You are not listening to me, Asherel. I did not say anything. What shall we do with you, Asherel? What shall we do with you? He shook his head sadly. Everyone seemed to be asking that now. What shall we do with you, Asher? I was asking Asherel, how do you feel about going with your father and mother to Vienna in October? To Vienna in October, I heard myself say. Yes, I took a breath. How should I feel? I will go to Vienna. Papa and Mama are going to Vienna. How can I not go? He sat there with his arms closed, one hand over his mouth, and regarded me intently. Where would I stay? I said. How can a 10-year-old child stay alone? I cannot stay with my uncle Yitzkov. My father will not allow me to stay. Of course, I will go to Vienna with my father and mother in October. What month is it? I thought. April, May, June, July, August, September, October, 6 months. I can draw and paint some of the street in 6 months. But how will I buy the oil colors? Maybe I can find something in place of oil colors. How can I know what can be in place of oil colors when I don't know anything at all about oil colors? Of course I will go to Vienna. I heard myself say again, of course I will go to Vienna. My father's going to go to Vienna to build the yeshivos for the Rebbe. How can I not go to Vienna? Then I was crying. I could not help myself. I was crying. How? I said. How? Ribbon Shalom. How? I sat there crying. I do not want to go, but I will go. I said, Ribbon Shalom. I am afraid to go away from my street. I will leave. It will leave me again, and I will never have any of it back. But I will go to Vienna with Mama and Papa. How can I not go? What do they all want from me? How can I not go? The Masfia had taken his hand from his mouth. He was standing now behind his desk. He leaned down and from a drawer of the desk brought out a small bottle of water and a paper cup. He poured some water and handed me the cup. Drink, Yisrael, he said softly. I remembered to make the blessing over the water, to which he responded, Amen. I drank the water and put the cup on the desk. I looked at my hand and found it was trembling. Then I felt all of me was trembling. It seemed to me that I spent long hours of my life, until then, shaking and trembling. I was tired. I wanted to go home and I wanted to go to bed. The Masfia said very quietly, Listen, Asherel, do me a favor. Once when I was in your classroom, I saw you drawing in your notebook, but I did not see the drawing. Make a drawing for me. Here's a clean notebook and a pencil. Make a few drawings for me. I looked at him and did not know what to say. Asherel, he said softly, I will leave you alone for a while. Yes? Can you make a few drawings for me? I nodded, feeling a pounding inside of my head. You can take your time, Asherel. If I am not back when you finish, leave the notebook and pencil on my desk and go back to your classroom. I will ask only that you turn out the light and close the door. He came around and from behind the desk stood by the door. You may finish the water in the bottle if you wish. Give my good wishes to your mother. He went so quietly, I did not hear the door close. I sat there feeling pounding inside of my head and a sudden heaviness against my chest. I took a deep breath. I was able to breathe without difficulty, but the heaviness remained. I did not know what to do. I did not want to draw. I was tired and I wanted to go home and go to bed. I stared at the notebook and pencil on my desk. I should not have stared that about going to Vienna. I should not have said that about going to Vienna. I should have not cried. The Masfia will tell my mother and father, and they will get upset and angry. And my father will had enough to worry about now. I stared out the window. It was still raining. The trees looked forlorn in the rain. I saw the rain dripping off the buildings and splashing into the dark pools on the street. I moved my chair closer to the desk and opened the notebook. Its pages were blank and unlined. I looked closely at the heavy cover. It was a sketch pad. The pencil was a soft-leaded Eberhard, a drawing pencil. I stared at the door of the office. It was closed. I drew a point with the pencil on the first page of the sketchbook. I drew another point a few inches away. I connected the 2 points with a straight line. I drew another straight line in tension with the first line. I drew a third balancing line. Then I was drawing a face. Then I was drawing faces. Then there were trees and lines of walkways of people. I drew faces of children laughing and crying. I drew the look of the street from the window of our living room. I drew Udo Krinsky surrounded by matzos in the grocery store. I drew the Ladover building. I drew a man walking along beneath the trees of the parkway, wearing dark clothes, a dark beard, and an ordinary hat. I drew until the point of the pencil was gone. Then I tore at the wood with my fingernails to get to the lead. I drew and shaded and sketched and left blank patches and filled patches. And at one point, I thought I needed something more for a face at a window, and I poured some water into the cup